Welcome to yoga. I'm Liza. Have you found yourself sitting more often than usual in this past year? I know I have. And prolonged sitting could lead to muscular imbalances in the pelvis, and that could create pain in other locations in the body. So, in our yoga practice today, we will focus on undoing the effects of sitting by equally strengthening and stretching the muscles around the pelvis to promote better alignment and to alleviate pain. We will begin today lying down. So make sure that you've created some space for yourself, that you've got your yoga mat and your bare feet, and make your way to lie on your back with the knees bent and feet on the floor. And just allow yourself to get comfortable on your mat, keeping the feet hips width apart, and bring the knees together to touch to invite the legs to relax. And see if you can bring a little bit more of the upper back and shoulders in contact with the mat to gently open the chest. Tucking the chin very slightly to lengthen through the back of the neck, and rest the hands on top of the belly. Allow the eyes to either soften or close. Beginning to move your awareness inward. And now bring your attention to the parts of your body that are in contact with the mat. Sensing the support and connection to the earth beneath you. And now bring your awareness to the tips of the nostrils as you breathe in and out through the nose. And on each inhalation, feel the belly gently expand towards the hands. And as you exhale, feel the belly moving away from the hands towards the spine. Again, inhaling, feel the belly and torso expand. And sinking as you exhale and empty. And taking a few more full deep breaths at your own pace. Feeling an expansion throughout the torso as you inhale and emptying fully on the exhale. And now as we prepare to ease into movement, I'd like to remind you to breathe as freely and deeply throughout the class as you are right now. And setting an intention to be gentle with yourself. Knowing that less is more, and being careful not to overstretch, but stretch just to the point of comfort. And as always, feeling free to modify the practice to best meet your needs. And now straighten the legs along the floor and reach the arms overhead along the mat so that the arms are framing the head. And now on your next inhalation, reach long through the fingertips, press out through the toes, giving yourself a full body stretch, lengthening. And then exhale, soften. And now just your right side. As you inhale, reach long through the right fingertips overhead on the floor. Press out through the sole of the right foot, making the right side of the body longer than the left. And then exhale, relax. And other side. Inhale, reach long through the left fingertips. Press out through the left foot, making this side longer than the right. Reach, 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 and then exhaling, soften. And now sliding your right leg along the floor to the corner of your mat. And then bring your left leg over to meet the right. So the feet are together, insides of the feet are touching. Toes are pointing upward as the feet are flexed. Reach the arms overhead and feel a lengthening through the left side of the body, from the left heel up through the hip, shoulder, out through the arms and the crown of the head. Keeping both hip bones level. So notice if the left hip is rising up away from the mat. And bring it back down. And you might need to bring the feet a little bit closer towards center to keep the hips level. You're welcome to keep the eyes closed or gaze softly. And keeping that slow, deep breath in and out through the nose. And one more full deep breath here. And now preparing to release. As you next inhale, slowly slide the left leg back to center, followed by your right. And pause here for a moment and notice how one side of the body feels in relation to the other. Does one side feel longer or lighter, heavier, warmer? Notice whatever sensations are here. And now lengthening through the spine once again, reaching out through the fingertips, out through the soles of the feet. And now sliding the left leg along the mat to the left corner. You could decide to bring that foot a little closer or a little further away, wherever you could keep the hips level. And then slide the right foot over to meet. Again, the insides of the feet are touching. Feet are flexed. And feeling a lengthening and extension throughout the right side of the body. Creating a comfortable sensation of stretch, avoiding any strain. And just tune into your body, noticing these sensations of stretch. Seeing where in the body you may be holding tension that you could invite softening. Perhaps softening the belly, relaxing the jaw, softening the forehead and the skin around the eyes. One more full deep breath here. And now slowly on your next inhalation, sliding the right leg back to center, followed by the left. Allow the legs to relax, receive. And give the legs a little shake from side to side. And now bending the knees and bringing the feet to the floor once again. And bringing the arms by your sides. Palms facing the floor. Walking the feet in close to the bottom. keeping your feet and knees hip width apart. We'll move next into warming up the spine and strengthening the core. On your next inhalation, lifting the hips an inch or so away from the mat, and then as you exhale, lower the hips back down to the floor. And again, inhaling, lifting the hips up, and then exhaling, lower the hips back down. And each time you lift the hips, perhaps lifting the hips a little bit higher and then lowering them back down. And now when you inhale, holding a little for a breath or two, and then lowering back down. Easing our way into bridge, beginning to warm up the spine, increasing strength and flexibility. And you could stick with the lifting and lowering, or the next time you lift the hips, you could come to hold bridge. So you may want to lift the hips so that they're in line with the shoulders and the knees if that feels comfortable, or you could keep the hips lower and closer to the ground. Holding and breathing here. And just checking in with the spine and see if you'd like to go a little bit further. And if you'd like to, you could continue to lift the hips higher. So no need to lift the hips as high as you possibly can, but come to a place where you could hold without strain. If your spine is feeling flexible and open, if it's accessible, you could take hold of the ankles, or perhaps interlace the hands, straightening the arms, and wiggling one shoulder blade at a time underneath you to open up the chest. So choose the variation that feels right for you. Moving without strain or discomfort. Breathing deeply in and out through the nose. Be sure to keep the knees hip width apart, using the strength of your legs to help support you. And remaining here for one more full and deep breath. And now if you have clasped your hands together, release the hands. And slowly return one shoulder blade at a time to the mat. And now very gradually lowering the hips down to the mat. Moving slowly and noticing all the sensations of release along the way. And after you release, sliding the feet a little further away from the body, keeping the knees bent. And extending the arms to T position along the floor. Arms at shoulder height, palms to the mat. And bring the feet a little bit wider apart, about as wide apart as the mat. And begin to drop your knees from side to side. And as the knees drop to one side, turning the head in the opposite direction, bringing the twist up into the head and neck. And moving at your own pace, inhaling as you lift the knees, and exhaling as you lower the knees to the floor. And the next time you drop the knees to whichever side you're heading towards, pausing here to hold. Head looks over the opposite shoulder. Being sure to keep the upper back and shoulders connected to your mat. And one more full deep breath here. And then on your next inhalation, slowly bring the knees back upright to center. And then exhale, dropping the knees to the other side. Head looks over the opposite shoulder. And as you exhale, perhaps soften the knees a little closer towards the floor. And making any little adjustments to invite more ease into the stretch. Seeing where you could soften and relax. And one more full breath here. And on your next inhalation, slowly releasing, guiding the knees back upright. Walking the feet a little closer together. And now bending the knees into the chest, taking hold of one knee with each hand. And gently hugging the knees in to release the lower back. And now begin to make some small rocking motions from side to side. And gradually making the motions larger. And then rocking all the way over to one side, bringing the foot, knee, hip, and shoulder all the way to the mat. Turning the head onto one side. And then as you next inhale, leading with the top leg, returning onto the spine and rolling all the way to the other side. Bringing this foot, knee, hip, and shoulder all the way to the floor. And continue these large rocking motions from side to side, stacking the hips and knees as you roll all the way to one side. And the next time you rock all the way over to whichever side you're heading towards, pausing here. Taking a breath here in a fetal position before making our way on into table. And now bringing the hands to the mat and making your way up into a table position, coming onto the hands and knees. And as you're in table, you have the option to rest on the hands, on the fists, or you could bring the forearms all the way to the floor. So see what feels good for the wrists. And placing the wrists underneath the shoulders if the palms are on the floor, and spreading the fingers wide, pressing into each fingertip and knuckle. Keeping a soft bend in the elbows. And lengthen through the spine, extending the tailbone and the crown of the head away from one another. Broaden through the chest and move the shoulders down the back. We'll move into warming up the legs and the core. So now extending your left leg back so that the heel is extended in line with the hip. And on the next inhalation, we'll draw the knee into the chest or chin and then extend the leg back. So inhaling, knee comes into the chest or chin. Exhale, extend that leg back. Again, inhaling, draw the knee in and exhale. And if you like, as you exhale and extend the leg back, you can open the mouth and release a little sound. Continue at your own pace. And once more. And holding the leg out, heel in line with the hip, circle the foot, from the ankle, moving in one direction, and then reversing. And now reach out long, pressing out through the sole of the foot, lengthen through the spine. We'll prepare for a balance. Gazing at the floor in front of your mat, begin to walk the right fingertips to the front of your mat, extending the arm from the shoulder. So you can always lower the arm down if you need a break. And imagine you're being pulled by the wrist and the ankle in opposite directions. And you may wish to stay here. You could lift and lower and take a break. Or if you'd like to add a stretch for the quadricep, turning the right thumb down and internally rotating, extending that arm behind you, bending the back knee and taking hold of the ankle, and pressing the foot up into the hand. Keep the spine long, keep your gaze fixed on the floor in front of you, and keep the breath flowing. If you'd like to take a break, you're always welcome to take a break or move in and out of either version of the balance, either arm and leg extended long or taking hold of the foot. Keep breathing. One more breath here. And if you've taken hold of the foot behind you, releasing and lengthening the arm and leg once again. And now keep the leg lifted as you slowly lower the arm down to the mat. And now crossing your left foot over the right, bringing the foot to the right edge of your mat, lowering the ball of the foot and lifting the heel and press out through that foot. And turn the head to look over your right shoulder. And again here, feeling that lengthening from the left heel up through the hip, shoulder, and up through the crown of the head. Keep breathing here, tuning into sensations. And if your mind begins to wander, draw your attention back to the breath, back to this moment. One more full breath here. And on the next inhalation, sliding the leg along the floor behind you and then out to the side in line with the hip. Shifting the weight into your right hand. Inhaling, lifting that left arm overhead, giving a stretch to the arm and the chest and giving the wrist a little break by circling the fingers and the wrist overhead. Moving your circles in one direction and then reversing. And now squeeze the hand into a fist and spread the fingers wide. And now give that arm a shake. And continue to shake as you slowly lower the arm down. And stepping the foot back in, coming into table position and preparing now for your other side. Again, coming either onto the palms, onto the fists, or onto the forearms, whatever feels best for you on this side. And the feet and knees are hip width apart with the tops of the feet resting on the mat. Lengthen through the spine, move the shoulder blades down the back. And now coming onto your opposite side and extending your right leg back so that the heel is in line with the hip, pressing out through the sole of the foot. And again, we'll strengthen and warm up the core on this side. Inhaling, drawing the knee into the chest or chin. Exhale, extend the leg back. Moving at your own pace, slower or quicker. And once more. And holding that leg out behind you. And circling the foot at the ankle. Moving in one direction and then the other. And coming to stillness, pressing out through the sole of the foot, engaging that leg. And gently drawing the navel in towards the spine, gazing at the floor ahead of your mat, preparing for the balance on this side. And now reaching out through your left hand, walking the fingertips to the front of your mat, and then easing into the balance as you lift the arm to shoulder height, thumb pointing upward. And again, press out through the sole of the right foot, reach long through the left fingertips. Feel a lengthening throughout the spine. Keeping the core gently engaged, balancing here. You could come in and out, or if you like, you could reach back, bend the right knee, take hold of the ankle, adding a stretch to the quadriceps, as well as through the chest and shoulder. So choose the variation that is working better for you. And know you're always welcome to come in and out of the balance as you may need to. Keeping the gaze fixed at a focal point, and keeping the breath flowing to help support your balance. Feel free to adjust as you hold. And one more breath here. And if you've taken hold of the foot, extending that arm and leg long once again. Try and keep the back leg lifted as you lower the left hand down to the mat. And now crossing the right leg over the left, follow the right foot to the corner of your mat. Keeping the foot flexed and pressing out through the heel. And now turning the head to look over your left shoulder. Feel a extension and lengthening here from the right heel, up through the hip, and up through the crown of the head. Notice where you feel the sensations, inviting your breath to those places. And taking care not to move into strain or discomfort, but finding a comfortable stretch. Inviting sensations of ease and lengthening. And one more full breath here. And now slowly releasing by tracing the right foot along the floor to the back of your mat and then out to the side in line with the hip. And now shifting your weight into the left hand, bringing that right arm overhead. Again, opening the chest and release the wrist by circling the wrist and fingers overhead. Releasing any tension or pressure that may have accumulated. And circle in the other direction. And squeeze the hands into a fist and spread the fingers wide. Good, and now give the arms and hands a shake. And continue to shake out the arm as you gradually lower the arm all the way back down. Returning to table. And now coming onto the balls of the feet and walking back into a squatting position. And from the squat, we'll prepare to make your way to standing by moving through a forward fold. So begin to straighten the legs as you lower the heels down to the mat, keeping a soft bend in the knees and relaxing the crown of the head towards the floor. On your next inhalation, either bring the hands to the shins or come onto the fingertips, lengthening your spine halfway, and then exhale, releasing the crown of the head, forward fold. And again, inhale, lifting halfway, lengthening, and then exhaling, fold. And now press into the feet, bring the hands to the hips and pull the navel to the spine. And inhale as you slowly lift to standing, moving with a long neutral spine, taking your time. And relaxing the arms by your sides, taking a few breaths here, allowing yourself to adjust to being upright and standing. And standing tall with the feet hips width apart. And as you next inhale, draw the shoulders up towards the ears, and then exhaling, rolling the shoulders back and down. And again, moving with your breath here. As you exhale, drawing the shoulder blades towards one another and opening through the chest. And as you inhale, creating space between the shoulder blades. And now bring the hands onto the tops of the shoulders and continue to circle, drawing the elbows together as you inhale, and then bring the elbows wide apart as you exhale and roll the shoulders back and down. And once more, release the arms down by your sides. Standing tall, bringing the hands to the hips, we'll come into a standing side stretch. So lifting your right leg and placing your right foot behind the left, crossing at the ankle. And if this is uncomfortable, you could keep the feet side by side. Just finding your balance here, grounding into the feet, engaging the legs, keeping the hips level, lengthening evenly through the abdomen and the lower back. And now release your right arm. And inhaling, bringing the right arm out to the side and overhead and stretching gently over to your left side. And press the right hip out to the side and slightly forward. And again, there's no need to reach over as far as you possibly can, but find a comfortable stretch, focusing on lengthening. Keeping the head and neck in line with the spine and keep those shoulders relaxed. And it's fine to keep the hand on the hip for support, or if you'd like, you could take hold of the wrist overhead. So either option is fine. Keep breathing. And if you're feeling unsteady here, you could keep the feet side by side instead of crossed. Or you could find a focal point, fixing your gaze on a spot that isn't moving at eye level to help steady your gaze and your attention. And if you like, moving a little deeper, coming into your fullest expression for another breath. And then press into the feet, navel to spine, slowly come back to center. Uncross the feet. And slowly lower the arms down. And relax the arms by your sides. Close the eyes or gaze softly and just check into the sensation, scanning one side of the body from the head down to the feet. And the other, and noticing the difference. Noticing if one side feels lighter or heavier, more spacious, ease, warmth. Notice with compassion whatever it is that you're feeling. Before we come to the other side, we'll give a little stretch to the chest and shoulders. So either clasping the elbows together behind the back or interlacing the hands together and straightening the arms. So if you're holding the elbows, drawing down on the elbows and moving the shoulders away from the ears to open the chest. And if the arms are straight, pressing the knuckles down towards the floor, bringing the shoulder blades together. And if you like, gently pressing the hands away from you. Stretching the chest, opening up the shoulders. So when we spend a lot of time sitting, there's a tendency to come into a hunched or forward folded position. The head and the chin is often in a downward stretch, in a forward stretch. So this stretch will help to counter that posture, bringing the head and neck back in line with the spine. Breathing. One more breath here, and then exhaling gently, either releasing the elbows, releasing the hands, relaxing the arms by your side. I'm just checking in here and noticing the sensations in the upper body, the chest, the shoulders. A few deep breaths and noticing if opening these areas invites a deeper breath, an easier breath. Good, and now we'll come onto the other side. So hands come onto the hips. And now this time stepping your left foot behind the right, crossing at the ankles and planting both feet on the floor, or it's fine to keep the feet side by side. So really grounding the feet into the floor, engaging the legs, keeping the hips level. And bring your pelvis into a neutral alignment by lengthening evenly through the tailbone, lengthening even through the lower back and the belly. Tailbone reaching down, relax your shoulders. And now releasing your left arm and inhaling as you bring that arm out to the side and then overhead. And the left hip presses gently out to the side and a little bit forward. Again, find your focal point, keep the breath flowing. Creating extension and length through both sides of the torso. Relaxing the shoulders down, keeping the chest lifted. You could stay here, or if you like, you could take hold of the wrist overhead. And if you like, moving just a little deeper to your fullest extension for another exhale. And now press into the feet, navel to spine. Inhale as you slowly lift the torso back to center, stepping the feet side by side. Exhale, gently lowering the arms down. Again, relax the arms here, breathe and receive. And now we'll prepare for warrior pose. So coming to step at the front of your mat, standing tall with the feet hips width apart, bringing the hands to rest on the hips. And we'll prepare to step back with your right leg. So standing tall, relaxing your shoulders. And now on your next inhalation, begin to lift the right foot and step the right foot back, bending deeply into your left knee. So bringing that left shin vertical, the knee is in line with the ankle. Feet are hips width apart, the back heel is lifted. And now squaring the hips forward, so the right hip comes slightly forward, left hip slightly back. Lengthen through the tailbone. And press out through the back heel, keeping that leg active. Opening through the chest. Relax the shoulders. And now we'll add the arms. So as you inhale, begin to lift the arms and keep the arms lower than the shoulders here. And press the fingertips back, flexing the hands, giving a stretch to the wrists and forearms. As you gently open up through the chest. Keep lengthening through the head and the neck, bringing the chin parallel to the earth. Keeping your breath flowing, breathing in and out through the nose. One more breath, and then lower the arms down. And then lifting the arms overhead so the arms are shoulder width apart. And then exhale, hinge forward, lowering the arms down to the mat. And then step the back foot forward, coming back to the forward fold, keeping the knees bent. Relax the crown of the head. Inhale, lift halfway. Palms come to the shins or come onto the fingertips. Exhaling, fold. Bring the hands to the hips, press into the feet, navel to spine. Inhale, slowly lift all the way up to standing. Bringing the hands to prayer position in front of the heart. Close the eyes or gaze softly. Checking in here, noticing the hips and pelvis, chest, shoulders. Noticing and receiving the sensations of Warrior One, Virabhadrasana. And we'll prepare now for the other side. So standing at the front of your mat, standing tall with the hands on the hips. Draw a breath in, and then as you exhale, stepping your left foot back and bending into your right knee. So feet are still hip width apart. Back heel is lifted. And again, square the hips forward. Right hip comes slightly back, left hip comes forward. Draw the tailbone down, lengthening through the abdomen and the lower back. Drawing the thighs towards one another, creating stability. So in Warrior, you always have the option to adjust your stance, bringing that back foot in a little closer if you're feeling unstable, or sliding the foot a little closer to the rear of your mat for a deeper stretch. Choose what feels best for you. Keep relaxing the shoulders. And now releasing the arms, and this time bringing the arms a little bit higher than the shoulders, flexing the hands back again and pressing up through the fingertips. So by varying the position of the arms, you could reach and stretch different fibers of the chest muscles. Breathing into Warrior. Again, this posture helps to reverse the patterns of sitting. Opening up through the chest rather than slouching. And helping to strengthen and stretch the muscles that support the pelvis. Breathing. And now inhale, bringing the arms overhead, and then exhale, hinging forward. And stepping the back foot forward, coming into your forward fold. Release the crown of the head. Bring the hands to the hips, pull the navel to the spine, and inhale, slowly make your way up to standing. Bring the arms out to the side and overhead, palms touch. Exhale, lower the hands to prayer position in front of the heart. Relax the shoulders down. Close the eyes or gaze softly, feeling your heartbeat. And just notice the sensations in the body, noticing your breath, noticing where your mind is. Release the arms, give a little shake to one leg and then the other. And we'll prepare to head towards the floor. So starting at the front of your space, we'll move through a half sun salutation. So bringing the hands to prayer position, inhaling, lifting the arms overhead, gazing up towards your hands, and then exhale, drawing the hands down through the center line as you hinge forward into your forward fold, releasing the hands to the mat, soft bend in the knees. Inhaling, lift halfway, exhaling, fold. And stepping one knee back at a time, lowering yourself down into table position. And from table, we'll move into puppy and then Sphinx. So for puppy, keeping your hips lifted and slide the arms forward, lowering the chest, chin, or forehead to the mat. And it's fine to keep the head hovering. If you've got a block, you could place a block underneath the head. And from puppy, we'll make our way into Sphinx. So bringing the elbows to the mat, lifting the head and chest, and straightening the legs as you lower the belly down to the mat. Feet are close together, tops of the feet resting on the floor. And press the feet into the mat and engage your legs. Press the pubic bone into the floor. Pull the navel gently to the spine. Be sure the elbows are right underneath the shoulders. And press the elbows towards the rib cage to invite the chest to broaden and open. And make sure that you aren't rounding through the spine or collapsing into the chest or hiking the shoulders up towards the ears, but spread the collarbones wide. Keep lengthening through the back of the neck. Gazing at the floor ahead of you to keep the back of the neck long. The Sphinx is a good pose for gently strengthening the muscles of the lower back. So these are muscles that are often underutilized. Again, strengthening these muscles will help support better posture. It helps to alleviate the imbalances and the pain from prolonged sitting. Keep breathing. And if this is too much, you can always slowly lower down and release from Sphinx and then come back into the pose as you're ready. One more breath here. And now exhaling, slowly lowering down, placing one hand on top of the other, bringing the forehead to rest on the hands. And give the hips a little wiggle from side to side. And now bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, lifting up to table once again. So next we'll be moving from downward dog into pigeon pose. And if you prefer, you could stay in table and you could move into pigeon from your table position. So if you'd like to come into downward dog, spreading the fingers wide, pressing into each fingertip and knuckle, coming onto the balls of the feet. And as you exhale, lifting the hips and pedal out the legs. And now pressing the heels towards the mat, and it's okay if they don't quite reach. And extend the tailbone up and back towards where the ceiling and wall meet behind you. Moving the shoulder blades down the back, crown of the head aiming towards the space between your hands. And now on your next inhalation, shifting the weight into your left leg as you extend your right leg up and back for a three-legged dog. And if you're in table, you could just extend that leg long behind you in line with the hip. On your next inhalation, bending the knee in towards your chest. And then lowering the shin to the mat as you slide the back leg Slide the back foot to the rear of your mat and make your way into pigeon pose. So coming onto the ball of the back foot, lifting the back knee, and see if you could gently guide that knee towards the bottom of your mat, and then relax the top of the foot onto the floor. So keeping the shoulders squared forward, opening up through the chest, relax the shoulders down. Breathe here. And you're welcome to explore any other variations of pigeon if you like. You could come down onto the forearms into a resting pigeon. You could clasp the hands behind the back, coming into yoga mudra arms if you like. Another option is to bend the back knee and take hold of that foot. Choosing your variation, breathing. And now releasing any variations, returning the hands to the floor. Keep opening the chest and relaxing the shoulders. And now we'll prepare to release, and you can either release back into table or come back into three-legged dog and then downward dog. So for three-legged dog, coming onto the ball of the back foot, lifting the knee and straightening that leg, and then exhale, pressing back, bringing the right leg up in the air again for three-legged dog, and then slowly lower that foot back down, downward dog. Relax for a breath in downward dog before we move on to the other side for pigeon. So now shifting the weight into your right leg. Inhale, extending your left leg up and back, or if you're on table, just extending that leg straight behind you. And now your next inhalation, bending the back knee, drawing the knee in towards your chest and forward, and lowering that shin down to the mat. Like I come onto the ball of the back foot, straightening and lifting the knee, slide the right knee closer to the rear of your mat, and then release the top of the foot on the floor. Keeping the hips square, keep the shoulders relaxed, and choosing your variation. On this side, you could do the same or something different. So for resting pigeon, you could come down onto the forearms. You could stay in upright pigeon, perhaps bending the back knee and taking hold of the foot and drawing that heel in towards the hip. So again, choose the variation that is calling to you. Wherever you are, breathing deeply, keeping the gaze soft or the eyes closed. And now gently releasing your variations of pigeon, returning the hands to the mat underneath the shoulders. Now press into the hands and either stepping back to table, or if you like, pressing back into three-legged dog. And downward dog. And lowering the knees to the mat. And now keeping the knees about hip width apart, we'll move again into puppy. So sliding the arms forward, lowering the forehead or chest to the mat. And releasing, walking the hands back up to table and then swinging the legs around. And we will ease our way onto our backs. So making your way to lie down on the floor once again as we began. And we'll come into one more twist before relaxation. So now straightening your left leg along the floor and keeping the right knee bent and placing the right foot on top of your left knee or thigh, extending the right arm up from the shoulder in a T position, palm faces the floor, bringing the left hand on top of the right knee. And now bringing the right knee across your body just about halfway, giving a stretch to the outside of the hip and thigh. And keep both shoulders connected to the floor. Keep breathing here. And you could stay in this stretch right here. If you'd like to move into the twist, begin to shift onto your left hip as you bring the right knee across the body. And use the hand to gently guide the right knee a little closer to the floor. And you can keep the head still, looking up towards the sky, or if you like, you could turn the head to look over your shoulder. Keep breathing. And one more full breath here. And now as you next inhale, use the hand to gently guide the knee back to center. And shift the hips over to the left so they're back in line with your spine. Bend both knees. Pause here again to notice the sensations in the hips and pelvis. Notice what has changed. Notice how one side feels in relation to the other. And now for the other side, straightening your left leg and straightening your right leg and bringing your left foot on top of the opposite knee or thigh. Left arm extends out to T position. And now use the hand to gently bring the knee about halfway, just to stretch the hip and outer thigh without bringing the spine into it yet. And now if you like, you could shift over onto the right hip, drawing the left knee across the body. So the knee might come closer to the floor or perhaps all the way to the floor. Both shoulders remain on the mat. And if you like, turning the head to look in the opposite direction. Inviting the twist all the way up into the head and the neck. Keep breathing and softening. One more full breath here. And now on your next inhalation, slowly using the hand to guide the knee back to center. Returning the foot to the floor, bending both knees, bringing the feet to the mat, and then lift and shift the hips a little bit over to your right so that they're back in line with the spine, and then lower the hips back down. Bringing the knees together to touch. Bring the feet a little bit wider than hips width apart. Slide the feet a little closer to the bottom of your mat. Bring a little bit more of the upper back and shoulders in contact with the floor. Lengthen through the back of the neck and bring the hands to the belly once again. And returning to that deep belly breath where we began, inhaling, allowing the belly to expand, and exhale, empty. A few more deep breaths at your own pace. And now, letting go of the belly breathing, allow your breath to flow naturally. And you're welcome to stay in this position with the knees bent, or if you'd like, you can extend and straighten the legs along the floor. Closing the eyes and letting go. Letting go of all physical effort, allowing the body to soften, relax, and release. Letting go of any control over the breath, allowing the breath to breathe on its own. Inviting the mind to rest. Letting go of any urge to plan, organize, fix, change. Allow the mind to let go and come to stillness. Resting completely and receiving the benefits of your practice. Now very gently begin to deepen your breath. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. And slowly hugging the knees into the chest. And rolling over onto your right side, coming into a fetal position. And pressing into the hands and easing your way into a seated position. Sitting tall with the shoulders relaxed. Close the eyes. Noticing how you feel now compared to the start of class. I invite you to bring the spirit of self-care with you into the rest of your day. Bringing the hands to prayer position in front of the heart. Om Shanti, peace. May the peace in our hearts bring peace into the world. Namaste. I honor the light in you. Softly allow your eyes to open, taking in your surroundings with a fresh perspective. Thank you for joining me here today. You're welcome to join my classes live on Zoom at 7 a.m. or you can catch my recordings here on YouTube. Thank you.